And now let's join Community Information Director Dave Byron in the studio with his guest, Major Terry Sanders of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office. Dave?
Well, thank you, Amber, and hello, everyone. You know, the highly trained men and women who answer the emergency calls to 911 may have one of the most important and often one of the most stressful public safety jobs. Beginning the 1st of next month, all 911 telecommunicators will come to the county under the wing of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, a change that was approved earlier this year by the Volusia County Council. This is a very important public safety enhancement. That's our subject today, and we're very pleased to have with us in the studio Volusia County Sheriff's Major Terry Sanders. Terry, how you doing today?
Good, Dave. How are you?
Hey, thanks for being with us. This is
Sure.
really a very, very important, very big change for the county. But before we get into that, let's talk about those folks that answer the 911 calls. You know, I've heard our Sheriff Ben Johnson say many times this may be the toughest and most important job in law enforcement. What's it like to be a 911 operator?
You have to be able to juggle that uncertainty. It may be the call of a dog barking next door keeping somebody up. It could be that my 3-year-old is not breathing. And their ability to detach themselves from that and handle it not as a human being with all the emotions that go, but just very rudimentary work through what we need to do. Get police, fire, EMS, or all three there underway immediately, provide pre-arrival instructions. So it's that and the fact that, Dave, when they're done, as soon as they're done with that call, there's another one ringing.
Right.
Where in law enforcement, for myself or the deputies or police officers, when you do that hard call, that domestic violence or that child that was injured, you have a chance to go off and park and write your report, and you can kind of de-stress.
Right.
They don't have that same ability because they're sitting there at a screen and the phone just keeps ringing and ringing and ringing.
And we know that oftentimes the nature of the call that they're answering, seconds might make the difference between someone
Sure.
living and dying. So they have to get to the essence of dispatching that call very quickly. What kind of person does it take to be a good 911 operator? What do you look for?
Multitasking. They can
I would think multitasking.
They can do 10 things at once because you're listening to somebody intently, and at the same time you're entering all that information, because as we're taking and talking to the person on 911, we're also sending the units out. It isn't that we take your information and fill it all in and press send.
Right.
I take the call, enter the call, and then as you give me updates of the person's crawling out the window now, they're entering that.
Is the person, let's say it's a police officer, does the person that's being dispatched, do they continuously get updated either through phone or on a computer screen?
Yes, as they're rolling to the call, mobile data computer keeps telling them what the update is. It just bings and it's up there on the screen for them.
As I noted in the opening, Terry, all of the dispatch functions are going to be integrated under the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, i.e. county government, which sort of implies that they're not all integrated today. What is the current setup today?
It's got a number of what we call public safety answering points and secondary public safety answering points. Regional Communications, which is Edgewater, New Smyrna, and Port Orange, they have a center which calls go into there. If you hit a cell phone, say you're outside in South Daytona and you hit a cell phone tower, it may direct that call back to RCC.
Correct.
And then what they have to do is transfer that call, say to the sheriff's office who dispatches for South Daytona. So we lose seconds, not minutes, but seconds, and seconds are valuable.
So let's, to be specific, let's recap what the Volusia County Council has voted to do. What's the council decided to do?
Bring in all communications, 911 communications, into one house, so to speak, and foot the bill for the whole thing.
Right. So I would imagine that laying the groundwork for that transition is no small feat. Tell us what we've been doing to get ready for this, because I imagine that some folks have been pretty busy.
Well, it's from the level of politics, of talking with cities about why we should do this and getting them to buy in on it, because their personnel ultimately would come to us.
Right.
At a great savings in consolidation. Some cities will get back as much as $1 million that they are currently paying us to do something like that. And I just think it's the IT side, the info technology side of how, when we get a call in Lake Helen, how we dispatch that, or all of those things. Previously, Deltona Fire had their own run cards for their own fire, but now they need to be in our database because we're doing it. So It's been around the clock for a number of months.
Terry, let's talk about those cost savings that you mentioned. You know, one assumes that if the county takes on this mission county-wide, then there is an increased cost to the county, I would presume. But then again, as you just mentioned, some of the cities shed costs. So what I've heard is that overall it should be a net savings to the taxpayer. Is that?
That's correct. And remember, economy of scale, we are doing dispatching. For us to take this and make it bigger, it meant that we brought on about another 20-something people to make it work. And we collapsed these other agencies. When they collapsed down into central communications, there were a number of positions where people just either got jobs within the city or they chose not to come to work. So where countywide we may have been doing it with, say, 50, 60, 100 people. Now it's because of the economy of scale in one spot, it's significantly smaller number of people.
Again, just looking at it from a layperson's point of view, Terry, I mean, I would think that with all these dispatchers now working in a central place under the wing of the sheriff's office, one would assume then all of the protocols, the way they're trained and the way they answer the calls and all of that, all can be standardized. I don't know if they were or weren't before, but one would assume that would be an advantage as well.
It is. It is. We provide emergency medical dispatching, which means the person who answers your phone on a 911 call is prepared to do whatever. Make the fire call. If it's EMS, emergency medical services, and it's a traffic crash, they can start pre-arrival instructions, and we can do law enforcement, same thing. One of the things that we're looking at, Dave, is what's called closest unit response. We use it in law enforcement quite a bit, and fires is looking at that also. There may be a unit coming, say, south on Ridgewood at Nova Road, and it may be a deputy that's headed somewhere, and Daytona get a call of a fight in progress, maybe at the Burger King. Through GPS and other technologies, we could tell the deputy, turn around, we have a fight at that place. So it may well result in people getting service quicker and more efficiently.
And then, of course, I would think, Terry, that over time, you will have a good historical ability, historical data collection, so that you can look at who's dispatched where and what unit got dispatched, whether it be a fire unit or a police unit or whatever. Wouldn't that enhance, I guess, the ability to strategically plan?
It would, and it would, like I say, we know where assets are. We can probably minimize overlaps, things that we normally just put up with now because there's other cities, and the city may overlap into the county and county overlap into this city. And we can be smarter, basically, in these economic times.
One of the other things I think that you were telling me before we started taping is that as you're looking toward the future, where do you think this 911 technology is going to take us?
It's pretty exciting, because I think what the next generation in 911 will allow people to text in or maybe send us photographs of a scene, things like that, and those would be managed by a 911 system. Where today, you know, you have to have a cell phone or have to have a landline to get into it. They'll give people other options to make reports, to send us information, if you will.
And right now, I know you're handling, what, hundreds of thousands of 911 calls. I mean, what is the actual number, and what do you think the new number will be?
300 overall. We run about 258 last year, 258,000.
Wow.
Okay, and it'll go about 90,000 calls a year.
Wow.
So it's a lot. When you look at push-to-talks, the number of times we manage to push to talk and the other people back and forth on radio transmissions, it's up in the almost 1.5 million.
Unbelievable. And finally, as we close today, Terry, I mean, you know, there's another group of folks in the county that are working on another public safety change come October 1st, and that's the integration of evac ambulance under the county wing. And I guess these two sort of, in some ways, go hand in hand, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Big changes by the Volusia County Council. I want to thank you for sharing the information with us. I know you and your folks have been working, as you say, around the clock, and it looks like all in all, things are going pretty well.
Good. I think so, too.
Our guest today, Volusia County Sheriff's Major Terry Sanders. And again, the transition to 911 all throughout Volusia County will take place October 1st.